Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow.
Great top four.
Yeah. Herbert.
Then it gets wonky.
I mean, it's perfect.
Nobody has a different top four. So
I frankly think it's a perfect top six. Herbert and Stafford. Then Love, Dak.
The Prince.
A huge.
What a win.
It has to be a typo.
I mean, Baker got snubbed, but I have one other issue, but Brew, what a list. What a list.
I agree with that. What a list. My goodness. Like, I don't know Nate Tice. He's good at from what I've seen. He's good at what he does.
And Mike Tice's kid. He's worked in the league. I'm not diminishing.
No,
he
I
grew
know.
up around the NFL.
I'm just saying, this list is terrible. All right? I mean, Trevor?
Yeah.
Like,
He agrees.
I had to look down the standings and the stats of the whole league because I was like, is there a Lawrence I'm missing? Is there a Lawrence quarterback I'm missing? It can't be Trevor Lawrence, who I like.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't put him. What's he doing in the top 10?
He's got.
I think Jalen is a top 10-ish quarterback. You can argue against him being in it, but I don't think you can argue right now, of what they've done to Justin Herbert. And this is my guy last year. J-Lo, Dak, or Trevor is ahead of Jalen Hurts.
And Purdy obviously not in there either. That I thought you might have issue with.
What about Jayden Daniels?
And you know I have. That's what I'm saying. Where in the world is Jayden Daniels?
Exactly, and that's what I want to highlight here. Where in the world is Jayden Daniels? I've already made the videos talking about Jalen Hurts and whatnot, and it's actually kind of interesting to me. Now, I think Jalen Hurts absolutely has to be there, but conceptually, I could understand why people would not put Jalen Hurts in the top 10. That I conceptually I can get there. But after Jayden Daniels had the year that he had, and we're now grading quarterbacks like, ranking quarterbacks like Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, just those three quarterbacks specifically. And I'm going to address some of the other quarterbacks. It's absolutely insanity because you can say, oh, Trevor Lawrence hasn't had a lot to work with, and TJ Straw and this, that. It's just like, okay, like what has Jayden Daniels had? Like I could understand people wanting to downplay what Jalen Hurts has done with that roster, which I reject wholeheartedly, but I can wrap my head around it. I can't wrap my head around people saying that Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Jayden Daniels. How in what world does that even remotely make sense? Even if you believe in Trevor Lawrence. And I actually hold out some hope on a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence. I really do. Like I'm actually kind of optimistic. I'm closer to Nick in that regard with Trevor. And I'm a hoe. And I'm a huge believer in Jordan Love and CJ Stroud. Huge. I defended both those quarterbacks, especially CJ Stroud. I'm sorry to say Jayden Daniels is better. He just is. And the success that he had was square on his shoulders. I'm not even going to go through the stats. I'm not even going to waste time with that and show you all the analytics and show you all the rankings, show you the yards, the passer rating, the completion percent, like all this. I'm not going to even do that because it's like almost insulting at this point because he was just a top quarterback in the NFL period last season. Jayden Daniels was a better quarterback last year than Patrick Mahomes, then Justin Herbert, then Matthew Stafford, then Jordan Love, then Dak Prescott, then Trevor Lawrence, then CJ Stroud. That is just an absolute undeniable fact. An absolute undeniable fact. Now, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. I think they all had great years, a great season, all done in a different way. Now, it's not to say that I'm saying that Jayden Daniels was inferior to them, but I could understand why you would put those quarterbacks. But I would make the argument that Jayden Daniels did more with less than Lamar Jackson last year than Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. Now, Joe Burrow is a tricky situation because he obviously has two great wide receivers, a bootleg line, a wildly, just not a great run game that kind of started to pick up near, mid-season onward, and the defense was absolute trash. So Joe Burrow absolutely bought out, and so I do not hold his lack of team success against him, and Jayden Daniels fans can't do that. because you can't have it both ways, because otherwise then it's Jayden Daniels' fault that she didn't win the Super Bowl. And I know no one's blaming Jayden Daniels for why they lost in the NFC Championship game. And so if you're not going to blame him for the loss, then you can't blame Joe Burrow for absolutely balling out and like it not being good enough, because that's football, man. That's football. But I think there would be a fair argument to make. And this is this is really becoming my favorite way to look at things, where it's like I don't care about anything else in the past. I do not care about Super Bowls. I don't care about what happened in 21, 22, 20. I do not care. I'm not trying to make predictions of who I think is going to be better in 26 and 27, 28. I do not care. When you're just looking at everything in a vacuum last season and you're comparing all these quarterbacks, that's what I'm saying. It's incredibly easy to say that Jayden Daniels was better than Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Stafford, Love, Prescott, Trevor, CJ. That's like the easiest thing to do right now in the NFL, to say that Jayden Daniels was better than those quarterbacks. I just don't think that's even up for debate. And then it starts to get a little bit more interesting when you talk about Josh Allen, Lamar, and Joe Burrow. And I would make the argument I would take Jayden Daniels over. The only reason why you wouldn't take Jayden Daniels in a single season, like just evaluating over, say, like Lamar or Josh Allen, because you can see with your eyes how much physically bigger those guys are. So in your mind, you're like, I trust that those guys will maybe stay healthy, or I trust that those guys won't get banged up. And, you know, Jayden Daniels did get banged up last season, and the team suffered for it, understandably so. So, like, that would be the only reason why you're, like, kind of like, I think Jayden Daniels is on that level, and I think he absolutely bought out, and I think he was clearly a top quarterback in the NFL. But, you know, in a tough, cold, physical game in January, I'm going to have to just, I just got to take Josh. But that's still based on what, you know, Josh Allen has done in years past, though. So that's the tricky part. That's the tricky part. But, I mean, you know, Jayden Daniels didn't have Derrick Henry. Far from it. Far from it. You know, I don't want to, you know, present it like Jayden Daniels had nothing, because I think that's also a false statement as well. He had great coaching. He had some great players, some weapons. Just because someone like Zach is no longer as popular and as big of a name, Zach's bald and was huge, which I call it, by the way. And obviously Terry McLaurin, like, you know, there were pieces there for him to work with. So I don't want to act like he just had no one. Like, it was just like him and a bag of sticks here, but it's just he clearly played better. It's just, I mean, this was his PFF offensive rating, 89.6, top 5. I mean, some of his other things like touchdowns and yards will be a little bit lower because, one, he was banged up a little bit, as well as he left games early because either because he got knocked out or because they were winning so much. So I was like, all right, we're good here. Didn't really play the final game of the season. But even if you look at yards, he was 16, 3,500. It's really not hard to imagine that the most conservative estimates would have put him up top 6, you know, 4,000 yards. Like, I think that's one of the easiest things to do. Like I said before, Lamar Jackson founded the 4,900 club or whatever, and Jayden Daniels clearly was at that pace. Just even when you just do the basic math of him actually finishing the games and playing all the games, he would have been able to easily get that, not even counting the fact that he was banged up for a bunch of those games. I mean, he played absolutely out of his mind. In the fourth quarter, has come from behind wins. He just doesn't have enough attempts, but since 2020, for the most clutch quarterbacks, I forget what the cutoff point was, like 50 attempts or, you know, whatever it officially was. If you just made it, where Jayden Daniels would actually be eligible, he would have been the most clutch quarterback in the NFL over the last 5 seasons. Right now, it's Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, I believe. And Jayden Daniels is not on that list because he wasn't technically eligible, but when you make him eligible, he was the #1 most clutch quarterback in the NFL over the last 5 years. Seems pretty remarkable to me. So, I know, and that's why I said I wasn't going to do the stats, and that's why it's like I'm trying to stay away from that, because it's just, what I originally wanted to do was go through this list of quarterbacks right now, and it's like, who would you rather take right now? Jayden Daniels or Tua? Jayden Daniels. Jane Daniels or Jared Goff? Jayden Daniels. Baker. Jayden. Burrow. Right now you get an interest name. Burrow. Okay, Geno. No, Jane Daniels. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Kyler Murray? Yeah, of course. Obviously, Jane Daniels. Jalen Hurts. I know what Commanders fans are going to say. Patrick Mahomes. I don't know, man. I don't know. Kirk Cousins. No. Lamar Jackson. Right? Drake May. No. Bo Nix. Pretty sure you're going to pick Jayden. Sam Darnold. You're going to pick Jayden. Brock Purdy. You're going to pick Jayden. Justin Herbert. Stafford. Russell. Josh Allen. Daniel Jones. CJ Stroud. Will Levis. Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers. Caleb Bryce. Like, there's really only a few quarterbacks that you're going to take over Jayden, and that will be specifically because of what you saw them do either immediately this season or the seasons past. Like, obviously, like, I was being tongue-in-cheek with Patrick Mahomes, but, you know, obviously Mahomes, Josh Allen, etc. But it is an incredibly short list, and if you really want to play the game of who do you think will have No, now break the parameters that I created before about, like, let's just look at it in a single season. I don't care about the past. Don't care about the future. If you want to now use the past as a reference point and you want to use the future as a predictor, you can make a great argument. You know, we're having a draft right now. I'm taking Jane Daniels over Lamar Jackson, over Joe Burrow. I think it would be the hardest to make the argument over a Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes because we've seen both those quarterbacks do so much for their teams and play huge games. Can't necessarily say that for Lamar. Can't necessarily say that even for Joe Burrow. Certainly can't say that for Dak Prescott and Trevor Lawrence. So, and again, I'm purposely really leaving Jalen Hurts out of this whole conversation because I've already made multiple videos about that. And so I don't want to turn this into more Jalen Hurts because obviously the main focal point of this conversation was Jalen Hurts. I'm a huge believer in Justin Herbert. Huge believer in Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert's special. Great quarterback. As of right now, if you had to pick, you would pick Jayden Daniels. Again, will Justin Herbert, now that he actually has competent coaching and ideally a significantly better roster than he has in years past? For sure. Could he have a better career than Lamar Jackson? Joe Burrow? Josh? I mean, yeah, for sure. Definitely a possibility. But that's why it's always kind of interesting to kind of keep being like, well, which lens are we looking at this through right now? Because even if you want to make predictive lenses, which is what you would be doing if you're taking Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, and CJ Stroud, that's fine. But in what world do you predict that those quarterbacks will be better than Jayden Daniels? And in what world, if we're now using past as a reference point, in what world did we ever see out of Dak Prescott that makes you believe that he's better than Jayden Daniels? Nothing. In fact, I don't care about pure bottom line stats. I'm very confident in this statement. Dak Prescott has never had a season. He never has had a single season as great as Jayden Daniels. I don't care. Well, what's see-through? For more touchdowns and more, I don't care. If you actually watch the games and see how the games were unfolded and see who you get what against where and when and why, it's very obvious. I take Dak Prescott's best season and watch how it unfolded. Watch what the Cowboys put on his shoulders. Watch how he would feast and throw for a gajillion yards when you're dominating a team that's awful, or you're coming from or you're just down by a lot, whatever it is. The book is cooked with Dak. It is not for Jayden Daniels. If anything, it's the opposite, because when you look at bottom line stats, you don't see that it's like coming from behind. Also, you're not actually also factoring in all of the other mobility that Jayden Daniels did. Like I said before, people praise Lamar for the first time ever for the 4,900 club, and Jayden Daniels was there as a rookie. So if it's remarkable for Lamar, then it's remarkable for Jayden. And I don't care that it's, well, he technically didn't get it. I don't care about this hard cutoff. I care more about, like, well, what was he clearly capable of achieving? What would have he achieved if he wasn't sitting out for the final 10 minutes of the fourth quarter, if they were trying to run the score up, if he actually played the full game against the Panthers, who he obviously would have feasted on. I care more actually about the reality rather than a hard cutoff of just like, well, you either win or you don't. And it's like, sure, I guess. Or we could also use our eyes and our intellect and actually break down what we're seeing. Otherwise, and there's no analysis. Otherwise, then there's no point. It's just math then. It's just math. I mean, again, if there's no other context to anything, then just take the quarterback that has the most yards and put it in order right here. Boom. Sam Darnold's better than Patrick Mahomes. Those are the rules. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. Those are the rules that you want to play. Geno Smith better than Patrick Mahomes. Jared Goff better than Baker. I mean, a lot of Baker fans out there. I mean, you know, Bo Nix is better than Josh Allen. Geno Smith is better than Josh Allen. Does anyone believe that? I know, I don't. I mean, even just total touchdowns or, you know, passing touchdowns. Again, Bo Nix had more passing touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes, one more than Josh Allen. I guess Bo Nix is better than Mahomes. So that's why it's like when you look at all of this, and this is just, you know, one aspect of the data that you can look at. So I don't buy into just pure bottom line numbers. And what Jayden Daniels did, Jordan Love has never done, Dak Prescott has never done, Trevor Lawrence has never done, CJ Stroud has never done. I mean, I just don't think that's controversial at all by any stretch of the imagination. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jayden Daniels not even being a top 10 quarterback and the fact that it's not even actually like a story? I understand Jalen Hurts getting the main talking point for this because he literally just won the Super Bowl Philadelphia Eagles. That makes sense. But the fact that this isn't like its own the fact that I'm the one that made this its own segment is kind of crazy to me, because you can have both. You can do it with a bunch of quarterbacks if you want. If you wanted to look at it through the Brock Purdy lens, through the Jared Goff lens, but to me, the two quarterbacks who you are going to be like, we need to talk about this right now. It's clearly Jayden Daniels and the Commanders and Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles get first billing. Makes sense. Super Bowl MVP. Got to respect that. But then like later in the show, the next day, whatever it is, like we gotta have this Jayden Daniels conversation here, but those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jayden Daniels not being a top 10 quarterback? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it, and please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.